So what are some of the key things that you need to know in order to be successful in the stock market? In this video, we'll review that. It is none other than this topic called the support and resistance. So I've been trading for more than 10 years already, and I would say that support and resistance is one of the most critical skill set, in the stock market in order to see consistent profits, in order to see when you want to get in, where you want to get out. I would say that support and resistance, you definitely know how to do it the right way, how do you want to time your entry, how to even draw the lines, and this is exactly what this video will be covering. This is the only video that you need to know for support and resistance, and you definitely want to watch this video all the way to the end. So we'll go from the basics all the way to the advanced, and then we look at some case studies as well, and I would say that by the end of this video you would have a clearer picture on how to use support and resistance when you're trading the stock market, and how do you actually time your entry and exit. So Joey here, make sure you stay all the way to the end, and I look forward to sharing with you a bit more on this. Let's get started. So before we look at some live case studies on what is the support and resistance and how do we use this, you want to understand the fundamentals of support and resistance. What does it even mean? What is the support and what is the resistance? So before I dive into the charts, let me just explain to you very, very simply. So a support level, is basically a price level whereby each time if prices were to hit to that level, it could be $1, it could be $10, but each time when prices hit to that level, we kind of see a rebound from that level. But there's like a support level, and of course, in order to draw a line, we need 2 points, So we can draw a support by 2 lines, by 2 points, 5 points, 10 points, and the more points that forms the line, that is what we call a strong support level, So it kind of connects all the lows, and each time it hits to the level, it rebounds, it touches, it rebounds. That is like a good support level. So it's pretty much a level whereby we are seeing buyers coming back and some bargain hunting, and that's where potentially we can also see a rebound. So there's a support level, pretty much like we're standing on the floor right now, So we're even jumping, when we jump on the floor, pretty much we're still standing on the same floor. So there's like a support level, and what is a resistance level? So resistance level is a price level, whereby it's at the top, So we are currently below the resistance, and if prices to head up, the stock would head up, hit a certain level, and sellers come back and push prices down. So it goes up, it comes down, it goes up, it comes back down. That's where a level whereby there are a lot of sellers there, and that's where some profit taking can happen again. So that's pretty much a support at the lower level and a resistance at the top level. So we are pretty much in between a support and a resistance most of the time in the stock market. So most of the time, prices will be in what we call a consolidation or sideways movement. That means in between a support and a resistance level. Why? Because people would like to take some profit along the way. As it goes up, it comes back down to support. People want to get in and buy again. So that's pretty much how it works most of the time. More than 70-80% of the time, a stock will be in what we call consolidation, in between a support and a resistance. And of course, if we do break that resistance or the support level, that's where we can see a little bit more direction in terms of the upwards or the downwards direction. We'll cover that in a bit, But this is pretty much a support and resistance level. So let me just go ahead to draw it for you, a support and resistance level right here on the chart. You can just go ahead to draw this. So this is like a resistance level, So pretty much a line that goes this way. Let me just put it in red in color, a little bit thicker, So this is like a line. Oops, sorry. Let me just remove this. And we can have another line as well right here. So this is like another line, and let me just go and draw straight. So it's like a pretty horizontal line right here, and let me just turn this to green in color. So a green line, normally I draw it as a support line, so there's like a support level, and the red one right at the top would be a resistance. So most of the time, as I say, prices will go up and down, up and down. So let me just put this to green in color, and let me just go ahead to draw another one, So this is like another consolidation phase. That's how most of the time a stock will be. You go up, down, up, down, up, down. So this is what we call a consolidation phase, So of course, not all the time will be so nice. It will not always goes up to the resistance and come back down. Sometimes it might just go up here. It might just come back down a little bit. It might rebound back up. It might come back down here and go to support, rebounds back up, come back up. And then this is pretty much how it works. So this is what we call like a consolidation phase. Of course, we can go in to draw this resistance line more. This can be a red line, and this is like also a green support line right here. Let me just put this in green in color. So this is pretty much a support and resistance line. So support is one at the bottom, a resistance one at the top, whereby prices consolidates, So as we consolidate, where do we want to think about getting in and where do we think about getting out. That's exactly what we'll cover. We'll look at some live case studies, but now I hope you have a clearer picture of what does it mean as a support and what does it mean by a resistance. So another thing about support and resistance that you want to know of is these, right? So let me just go to draw again for you in this diagram, all right? And we can just draw lines right here. So this is like, okay, let me just change it to black in color just to keep it simple, all right? So we have like two horizontal lines right here. Okay, maybe 3 horizontal lines, one here, and one over here, right? So this is like just 3 horizontal price level, right? So how does it work is this, right? Most of the time they say a stock will be in consolidation phases. So as it breaks up, so for example, let's say we have a stock that goes like that, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? So it's like consolidating, can be a few months, can be a few weeks. And what happens is this, right? If you kind of like, breaks up this resistance level, so this is like the resistance level I talk about, right? So if it breaks this resistance level and prices to hold above this resistance level, then this resistance will now kind of like turn to a new support level. So this line, right? So this horizontal line right here, let me just go to okay, so like a resistance level, you can see right here is like a bit of resistance. And if we were to break that level, this, all right, this, resistance will kind of turn support. So that's one thing that you want to know about support and resistance. That's how it works, right? Because as it breaks that resistance level, it seems like, that barrier is broken. That's where buyers would want to come back to defend that level again as it consolidates and trade higher. So that's where it starts to move up right here. It might start to move up, down, up, down, and it consolidates again at the higher level, right? So this would now be like a new support level, right? So for example, let's say if you were to break lower from this consolidation, right? So let's say this is like number 1, all right? So this is like number 1, this is like the first floor, all right? We break up, we go to like the second floor, all right? And if it breaks up higher, we go to like the third floor. Does it make sense? All right, so you might consolidate here a while, okay? And it consolidates up, down, and it breaks again. And that's where we go to like the third story, right? So this is pretty much how it consolidates. In an uptrend, we can see like a consolidation before attempting to push higher, all right? And that's where as it breaks higher, that resistance level will turn support. So as it breaks higher again, we go from second floor to third floor, all right? And it's like a new higher consolidation phase. And of course, this resistance will now become the support level. All right, what about a downside breakdown, right? So for example, as it consolidates here, right, and there's a possibility that we can kind of break down as well. Look at this right here, it might actually break down here, all right? As it breaks down, so it might hit lower, and that's where buyers might want to come back up again as well, rebound back up again, sellers comes back, goes down, up, and you can see, right? So we pretty much go from like the first floor to like the B1, all right, to B1, all right? That's like the basement one. All right, from the first floor, you go to basement 1. So as it breaks a support level, so this is like a support, and now as it breaks a support level, this support will now turn to become a resistance, right? So let me just draw this resistance. Now you can see this is like a red line right here. So it broke the support, and now the support turned resistance, and that's where we start to consolidate again, and we can draw another line right here whereby we see a new support level. So let me just turn this to green in color, right? So this is pretty much the gist of support and resistance, right? Most of the time, as I say, more than 70% of the time, a stock or market will be in what we call consolidation. And if we do see any actions, right, above the resistance or maybe below the support level, that's where we can start to head to a new direction. So guys, if you found this video useful so far, I would appreciate if you can give me an early thumbs up. It will definitely help out the channel, and thank you so much for doing this, right? So let's get started right now on looking at some real life case studies, real life charts, and see how we can actually draw this support and resistance line, and how do we actually draw such lines, and more importantly, where do we want to time our entry and maybe exit, right? So this is one of those stocks that we like as well, called Applied Materials in the US, right? And one thing to take note of is that when you draw this support and resistance line, right, you want to make sure that you zoom out first. So you look at the big picture. A lot of people tend to make this mistake of kind of like zooming in, all right, zooming in, and this is like a daily time frame, and you can zoom into a daily time frame, and you're kind of like looking at this, right? So it just doesn't make sense because you're looking at a very short period, all right? So what you want to do is to zoom out first, look at a longer period time frame. It can be a year, it can be 2 years, more than 6 months at least. So you look at the big picture, and then you zoom in to the smaller time frame, maybe like a month or two, and that's where you can zoom in after you look at the 1 or 2 years period. All right? So that's how it works, right? So zoom out first, look at the big picture right here. That's where you get a, kind of like good idea. You don't have to go like 5 or 10 years. I think that's a little bit too far, but I think somewhere from like 1 or 2 years, like right over here, that's where you can kind of like go ahead to draw this horizontal lines. Right? These horizontal lines would be the support and resistance that I talked to you about. All right, but more importantly, focus on levels whereby support turn resistance, right? Support turn resistance if it does break down, or resistance turn support if it does break up, like what I covered just now. So we want to focus on things like this, and how do we draw a support and resistance? As I say, right, you want to focus on levels whereby there are a lot of price actions whereby it kind of like touches and it comes back down. So that's for resistance. So the more points it touches for that resistance level in terms of that horizontal line, of course you need like 2 points to draw a line, but the more points it touches, that's where we give a little bit more emphasis. So the more points it is to form that horizontal line, all right, the stronger it is for that specific support or resistance level. Does it make sense, right? So the more points so it's like 5 points, 10 points, the stronger it is. But if it's so strong and yet it breaks down, all right, like for support, it's so strong, it touches like 5 times, 10 times, and many times it rebounds back up. But if it's so strong and yet it breaks down, then you want to be careful. That can show that perhaps the trend have turned. Sellers are starting to come back up much stronger. Right? Same thing like a resistance level. The more points it is that touches that resistance level, the stronger is that resistance. But if you break that resistance level, if you break that line, all right, whereby a lot of points are touching in terms of the price level, that's where buyers might actually start to come back up. Right, so let's go ahead to draw some support and resistance line. Let me show you how we do it. So we look at the big picture first, and we can pull out this horizontal line. All right, so go for the kind of like the low hanging fruits, the one whereby it's the most easy to spot. All right, you don't have to be that exact, but we can kind of like come and draw what we call like zones. Like for example, right here, I think that would be a really good support zone. Can you see right here? You can see this is where it kind of like touches a little bit. You can see it kind of rebounded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's like a little bit of a support level. And then we've kind of like found this support level. You can see this is the line. It's about 125, and I mean you can kind of like fix a support level at 125. So that's like a price level. But normally what we do is to give a little bit more leeway. Right? It can be like 135 to maybe about 130, because sometimes it doesn't just go there. I mean to that price level, it can be a few dollars up and down, plus minus, and it starts to rebound. But we give a little bit more allowance to it. All right, and that is where you can say that that's like kind of like a support level. So that would be, I would say, kind of like good support level, anywhere from like 125 to maybe about like 130, 135. I think that's where we can see some good support. And as long as we hold above this level, so far we've been holding above for about 8 to 10 months, that is where buyers can actually come back again. All right, but if we do break this support level, then yeah, it's not so good. That's where we can see a little bit more downside, potentially to the next support level. So where could that next support level be? I mean, it might potentially be around here. You can see this is where it was originally. Look at this, right? So this was a little bit of a resistance level. You can see it kind of like headed down, came back up, we broke it. All right, resistance turns support. So we kind of like hit it here, consolidated a while, and it kind of like push higher. So that would be around that 110 level. So 125, maybe about 110. I think 110 would be the next step support level, right? And if we do break that 110, right? Yeah, I mean, can it actually hit lower? Yes, definitely, right? We might actually see a bit more weakness to next support level. So I mentioned, right, if we break a certain support level, that's where we can potentially see more downside. All right, and in this case, you can see that this support level would be quite decent, quite a strong support level, because we rebounded like 1, 2, 3, 4, about more than 4 or 5 times, right? Of course, we did broke down here, we came back up, and we've been holding above since then. So that's quite a good support level. So if we do break down, then that's not a good thing, and that's where some short-term selling can actually come back again to the next support level. So let me just see if we can draw another horizontal support and resistance line right here. I think that would be kind of like another line right here, is where we can rebound, but it's only like 1 time. So as I say, we want to focus on levels whereby many points touches that level, and that's where we can draw the line. The more points it is, the better and the stronger it is, right? So I think that would be another line right here. I think that is a really good one. Look at this right here. As I say, focus on areas whereby, as it breaks up the support turn resistance. So that was like kind of a really strong resistance for AMAT, all right, at about this is like what, $70. So this is like the $70. You can see, let me just turn it to red in color for you. You can see right here. So it's like a red line, because it was actually the resistance level, right? It was actually the resistance level. We have been like consolidating below. You can see up, down, we went up, we came back down again, went up, near it, came back down, and finally, right, somewhere around 2020, we broke this resistance level right here. All right, as we broke this level, we can see that that is where this resistance will now turn to become a a support level, right? So that's where a potential trade could actually be taken. Of course, we're looking at the trend as well. It's like an uptrend, and if you were to break a certain resistance level that we've tested many times, right? About 1, 2, about 3 times, and we break this level, right? That's where obviously the buyers are pretty much serious to come back again, to ride. I mean, in terms of coming in to ride the uptrend even further, right? So that's where you kind of push up, right? So that's one level where I can think about getting in if it does break a certain resistance level in an uptrend, right? So we not talk too much about trend today, but this is pretty much about support and resistance. But that's one of those levels you can think about. As I say, if it breaks that resistance, now this would now become like a new support level. It would become like a new support level right here, right? So of course, right, we might actually see prices of course it started to push up, but what happens when it actually push up, we might actually see a little bit of a weakness. You know, it might come back down right here, up, down, it consolidates and perhaps breaks higher again. But in this case, we started to push higher, right? But just take note of this: the resistance will turn support, and if prices were to hold above this new support level, that is where, all right, we can see more upside. So that would now be kind of like a new zone, right? So I mean, right here you can see like this is like would be a new support zone. All right, as I say, if we break this resistance, we can actually retrace back down, go up, retrace back down. As I approach this level again, it could be a level whereby a potential entry can be taken again to ride the upside, right? So this is just a resistance level, right? So let's see if we can draw another one. But as I kind of like draw these lines, I want to explain to you, where are the potential levels you can think about getting in. So we want to think about getting in, especially in an uptrend near a support level whereby it has rebounded many times, all right, that's where, if it holds above that new support, we could potentially see a little bit of weakness, right? So in this case right here, as I say, this is like the support zone, right? From anything from like 125 to 130, 131, 32, I think that's where buyers can come back again. So if it does hit to that level, it could be a good opportunity, right, to take a good trade up, all right? We can have like a trade plan as well. So let me just go to draw like a trade plan to kind of like familiarize yourself how to do it. But okay, maybe before I do that, let me just go to draw another line for you right here. Is there any think that we can draw another line that we can draw in terms of support and resistance? Right here you can see a little bit of resistance here. You can see resistance came down, and it kind of turned to a little bit of a support, and now we're resistance. Let me just draw this line for you before I explain to you. I think that is where we could potentially see a line right here, right? So this, okay, another one right here, right? So a top one would be a resistance. This would be somewhere around here, around the 170 level, right? But take a look at this line that I've drawn. Let me just put it a little bit thicker for you so you can see it clearer, right? So as I say, right, we were consolidating, right? So this is like a consolidation phase like I've drawn for you just now, right? This is a brush, so you can see it moves down, go up, down, up, down, up, down. As it consolidates, right? Pretty much what I drew for you just now before we even look at this stock. And then what happens was we broke this, right? So as it broke this level, all right, this level would now become like a new support level. So like a green line. So this is like a little bit of a green line right here. All right, let me just go to draw this for you. So it's a little bit of a green line because it broke the resistance, and now this resistance turns support. So it kind of like held above for like about 2 months plus. All right, as it traded higher. Let me just go to draw this for you. So it went up. Okay, sorry. So this is like a kind of a green line. All right, and let's go on to the brush again, and let me just draw the prices for you to see how it consolidated. It went up, down, went up. A little bit of resistance, rebounded up, and eventually you can see we broke this support level. As it broke this support level, you can see that's where we came down again, and we kind of went down, all right, to that same support level that I told you, right? This is like the 125 to 130. So it's kind of rebounded here. It could actually be a good opportunity to think about getting in again, right? It's kind of like consolidate. So right now, we can actually see a little bit of consolidation right here, like up, down, and there are 2 ways we can go, right? This is the range from about 125 to maybe about 145, and this would be the 145 level, right? 125 to 145 is about a $20 range. So if we do like break that 145, well done. If we do break the 145, then yeah, pretty much you can see that this is the range we can go to. Does it make sense? All right, that is pretty much the range we can start to hit higher, maybe to about 170, up, down. But if we were to break lower, in that case, let's say we were to like break down, sorry, right here, let me just go to try it for you. Yeah, so break down, if we break down this like consolidation from 125 to 145, then it's pretty much back to that lower phase, right? And it's right here, up, down, we might start to consolidate in this phase again, and that's like probably from 110 to 125. Right, so what could be a good potential trade setup based on this support and resistance lines that we draw? I would say that a good trade setup would be, as we near. So let me just go to remove this line. Okay, so a good trade setup could be when we were to approach this support level right here, as I say 125 to 130. So we might actually see a little bit of rebound coming in again. So we can kind of like create a trade plan from here. Potentially we can take a long position. Let me just going to put this a little bit tighter right here. So that is like a long position that can be taken right here. So it's kind of like a trade plan right here. So this is like the upside reward here. For example, if we were to hit to near that 125, 127, 128, somewhere around that 130, 125, as I say, but prices now it's like about 144. So it's a bit far away. Upside reward might not be so much. But if we were to head down to maybe somewhere around the 125, 128, I think that could be a good level whereby we could try to get in to catch a rebound like what we have seen, right? Over the past 8 to 10 months, we rebounded like 1, 2, 3, we went up, we came back down. And that is pretty much the range, right? And in that support zone, 125 to about 130, right? So that is a trade plan in terms of the upwards direction. But of course, we have not changed in terms of the downwards direction. Could it potentially break that 125 support level and head down? Of course it can. It can happen. It will happen in fact, right? So it can happen, right? So definitely want to protect our downside in case if it were to break that 125, right? Then what do we want to do? Do we want to just wait and hang on to it, or wait for it to go lower and we get out? Or what is the plan, right? So what is a good, kind of like a trade plan for this? So I would say that upside reward is pretty awesome, about more than 14% upside, and downside reward, I would say that we want to definitely protect our downside. So in case if they break the 125, as I say, we might hit to maybe 110, and of course if 110 with the breakdown, we might even hit to 100. So that's where we get a trade plan just in case, right? Just in case it breaks that support level, we want to get out. It could be maybe about like 120, 121, 122. Right here, and that would be kind of like a reward to risk ratio of about like 3.13, as you can see over here in terms of the upside reward and downside risk. Alright, so that's pretty much how we kind of like build a plan based on the support and resistance lines. Of course, we haven't really looked at about trend and all that, but in an uptrend, we want to focus on kind of like getting in less aggressive trade near a support level like what we say over here. And if it does break this like 145 resistance, that is where potentially we might see more reward all the way up to maybe about the 170. So, but this is like the immediate resistance, so I would say that is like the one kind of like the 145 level. Alright, so this is how we kind of like draw the support and resistance lines, and then also we kind of like dive a little bit deeper into how to create a trade plan, right, based on the support and resistance. Where can you think about getting out? Where you can think about getting in, and of course getting out is not just about like taking profit and all that. We want to think about how to get out if prices were to break a certain level, if we were to head down instead of going up. If you're buying, you want it to go up, that's good, but if you were to go down, then what do you want to do? You want to wait and see, or you want to think about it? You want to have a plan, right? You want to have a plan so that if it does go to a certain level, you get out, right? You lose a certain amount of money, it's fine, you look on to the next trade, but you have many trades of high reward to risk ratio, more than 2, more than 3 times, like this one right over here. That's where you can make money in the long run. Right? So I hope you like this video in terms of support and resistance, whereby we dive a little bit deeper, a little bit more advanced in terms of how we can create a trade plan, potential entry and exit levels as well. Okay, so there we have it. I'll just keep this video short, right? This is pretty much a quick run through of support and resistance in terms of the basic. We go all the way to the advanced. We look at a live case study on how to kind of build a plan to it. I hope you enjoyed this video. You have learned something from it, and you can kind of like draw the support and resistance lines much clearer. As I say, you want to zoom out first, look at big picture before you kind of like zoom in. So right now, where we have drawn our lines, right? We have drawn our support and resistance lines in terms of the big picture. That's where we can zoom in, right? We can kind of like zoom in. All right, let me just go to remove all this so you can kind of like zoom in. And right now, so that's where you have a better idea of where we are in the short term after looking at the longer term kind of like trend in terms of the consolidation as well. We look at long term, then we zoom in, we look at the short term, and as you zoom in now, as you zoom in, I can see that these lines have already been drawn, so you can kind of like see that 125 to maybe 145 would be kind of like the support and resistance. Now we are like kind of in between, and that's where selling can actually come in, right? Selling can actually come in as we approach a 145. We might actually see a little bit of weakness right down from 145 all the way to 125, right? But if you kind of like zooming in right at the beginning, like right now, right, and it's like blank, then you probably wouldn't have this 3 horizontal lines, because these lines were pretty much drawn when we look at a bigger picture, like more than 6 months, more than a year. Then we actually have these lines. So once we have these lines, then we zoom it in. So that's where you can build a kind of like a better trade plan like this. For example, right now it's like 140. So as we approach 145, can we actually see selling? Can it actually be traced down? Of course, it can actually happen, and it has actually happened many times. Right? Look at this right now. Came down, came down, came down. So that is like a firm resistance level, right? As I say, it was a support. We rebounded many times. We broke it, and we can see we tested the one. So we tested the one. So as we approach that level again, that's where selling can actually come back. So if you have kind of like got in near that 125, 130, as it approaches this 145, 140 plus level, that's where you can think about getting out as well, because that's where sellers can actually come back. All right, but more importantly, what you want to do is protect your profits. If you're kind of like you got in here, you went up, you want to protect your profits, and it's okay if you want to like hang on to some positions, because can it actually break this 145 level? As I say, right, it's consolidated here. Can it actually break this 145 level to push higher? That's possible as well, right? We can actually break that resistance level to push higher to the next phase. So if you want to, kind of like wait for this opportunity, yeah, you can hold on to some positions, but make sure you protect your profits, because you are definitely sitting on profits if you've got in near the support zone that I talk about. All right, so thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. If you have learned something from this video in terms of support and resistance, like how do you draw the lines, go ahead to give me a like as well, and of course smash the subscribe button. It will definitely help out the YouTube channel, and thank you so much for doing this, right? So let me know in the comments below what is your biggest takeaway on using support and resistance, right? Let me know in the comments below what are some of the things that you want covered on support and resistance. That's where I'll try to find time to cover it in future videos as well. Alright, so Joey here. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to see you in the next video. And if you want to find out a little bit more on that, this framework that we use in terms of the one good trend, right? So I have kind of like a trend trading strategy, which we did not really talk much about. All right, this video is just focused on support and resistance. But if you want to kind of like see how this whole entire support and resistance fit in to like a trend trading strategy, then what you want to do is to attend one of those free live web class that we're still running. All right, go ahead and click on the link just below the video. We put the link there to attend one of those web class to learn a little bit more. And also you can see how we have a system I call 1GT, right? One good trend that kind of like alerts us to counters like these and guides us on entry and also exit, that I would think will greatly benefit you as well. Alright, so Joey here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.